Dr. Ariffin Yahaya was Global Chief Architect at Yahoo Search in Silicon Valley from 2013 to 2016, the first Malaysian to hold this top role. During his tenure, Dr. Ariffin successfully led his unit in generating $5 billion in annual revenue. He acted as a key advisor to C-level executives, as well as being a member of Yahoo's Technology Council. Today, Dr. Ariffin has returned to Malaysia, where he continues to advise local and regional businesses as a professional consultant. Let's explore and be inspired by this homegrown talent as we gain insights into inspiring Malaysians. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. A very good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Cuba Cerita. It's another episode where we continue to explore and meet inspiring Malaysians. Malaysians who we otherwise may not meet in everyday life, but once in a while when we meet such persons, it's amazing just how much stories they have to tell, so much insights that we learn from them, and hopefully this will, like today's episode again, will benefit our audience in whichever way that is meaningful to you. Our guest today is someone who is a global Malaysian. And we have many global Malaysians out there, but this is a Malaysian who you will recognize has been associated with the global brand that we all are familiar with. And we're very proud that, we have such talent who have traversed the world and made a name for themselves on the international stage. But more importantly, they also have been responsible in terms of contributing back to the nation, not forgetting where Tanah Air is. And Alhamdulillah, such talents are even contributing to our nation even more so after having had such a successful career overseas. So, our guest for today is someone that some of you may already know of. Certainly, I wasn't. And I didn't know of him until I was formally introduced, and it's such a lovely gentleman. His name is Dr. Ariffin Yahaya. Now, Dr. Ariffin Yahaya, as you will come to know, is someone who at one time was very successful in Silicon Valley. And we'll come to that a bit later as he talks about his story. But Assalamualaikum, Dr. Ariffin.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure. Thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to spend at least an hour with us.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope that you've had a chance to watch one or two episodes of our Cuba Cerita podcast. And as you know, it's meant to understand you as a person.
Sure.
There's so much we can talk about you in terms of your achievements, which we will, as the backdrop. But I was fascinated when I first was introduced to you, and when I met you even more so. So really, maybe if I may ask, just to really begin, tell us a bit more about yourself. Asal usul daripada mana, and how your formative years were.
I think the one thing that people don't know about me, is that saya orang yang paling malas sekolah. So I've had many opportunities to sekolah. But somehow I always thought going to school is a waste of time, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I had a scholarship, and I went to USC, which is a pretty good school. And then I said, no, I don't think this is for me. I'm just going to go home. So I came home, started some businesses. It was pretty okay. And then just to fast forward the story, in 1998, the financial crisis hit.
Okay.
And that was when I said, God, okay, I know you want me to go to school, right? So I will. So I sold my house, bought my mother a small house, and I had enough money to go to school for about 6 months.
And you talk about university.
University.
College,
Yes.
yeah.
College. Yeah. So went to the US. 6 months is not very long. I needed to pay at least 3 years to graduate. So worked 3 jobs. Siang kerja dekat sekolah. Malam kerja as a night watchman so that I can study. Kerja dekat warehouse.
Oh,
And then pukul 3 pagi pergi restoran potong sayur. And then
3 jobs, 3 solid jobs.
well, it's very expensive. School is
Yeah.
very expensive.
And you were initially meant to be at USC, and this second
that
time around.
was like I think few years ago, and then I'm sure, Mara is still upset me. But this time I went because I felt I really
Needed to.
had a mission from God, and I had to go.
Wow.
Yeah. So then that went okay. I mean, I survived. And in 2001, I graduated my undergrad. But unfortunately, in 2001, we had this .com meltdown.
Okay.
So it was very difficult to get a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So during the undergrad, I had done a little bit of research into some computer topics. And it turns out that one of those topics was important to a company called Hitachi. And Hitachi picked that project up and said, hey, come work with this, or rather they said something like, do you want to go and do your PhD? We'll support it. And so basically, that was how I started to get into PhD. So while at PhD, I was also a subject matter expert for Hitachi. And traveling China, Japan, coming back.
While you're doing your PhD.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't ask. Your field of study in those days was?
Computer science.
Computer science, right.
Initially, I thought I was specializing in database and security. But then finally, my interest went into networking.
Networking.
Yeah. So the Hitachi project was participation in China's tender for their next generation networks.
Oh.
Yeah. So, just very briefly, the science behind this is taking economic principles to manage networks.
Okay.
So in economics, we have this thing called the invisible hand. And the invisible hand basically is a mechanism that determines prices, determines supply. So for example, if you made, I don't know, fans, right? And you sold it at 1,000 ringgit and nobody bought it, you lower the price, and then until people buy it.
So
that is
supply
the
demand,
invisible hand.
basically.
Yes,
economics.
that's correct. Yeah.
So they call it invisible hand.
Yes,
It's like
I think some guy who wrote a book named it.
Okay.
A very old book.
Okay. Wow. So interesting. And I'm sorry, that's a very quick snapshot of your
Early days.
early days. And so, how does this young man from Batu Gajah,
Yes.
Perak, find his way? It sounds very challenging. You went and came back, and then you went for a second time, worked 3 jobs, and alhamdulillah, you were doing well enough.
Well,
If I had to really ask you, Doc, and again, this may resurface later on in our conversation,
Sure.
was there a certain resilience in you, or you were not satisfied with something that sort of like made you go back, and apart from the economic crisis and all that?
no, I think people have to be hungry and hit rock bottom before they actually, are motivated to do something. Instead of going back to kampong and growing ubi, I decided, hey, maybe this is a sign, and I should go back to school.
And with all due respect, from what I read of you, I understand that you wasn't too humble at the beginning. You had quite a good upbringing, and you had
yes.
exposure at a young age.
I was born with a silver spoon, definitely. But we had family issues, and basically my mother and I mengasingkan diri.
Oh,
Yeah.
Masya Allah.
So I was very self-sufficient at a very young age. Right? Yeah.
Wow.
And that helped too, I think.
Yeah, character building
Oh,
and
definitely.
resilience, kan? Interesting. So, sorry. So, bring us back forward again to your life. You know, researching and being on behalf of Hitachi. So, you're in a country, you know, where eventually you ended up in Silicon Valley. How did life progress at that particular stage of your, you know, your experience then?
Well, it came to a natural close when school finished, right? Did my PhD, I got a degree. About a year before that, we are basically allowed, it's called ABD, all but dissertation, right?
Okay.
So during that time, you don't have class, you don't have anything. You're supposed to work on your dissertation, and you can actually go out and start work. You know, so in the U.S., if you go to a U.S. school, you're given 2 years of a work permit, basically to get experience.
Okay.
So I used that, applied to a few jobs, and I got a few, but someone was telling me that working for Yahoo was the easiest, you know, because they were very relaxed. And it was true. So, you know, so I accepted that position. I started as a senior search engineer.
So you obviously would have applied to a few of these
I did,
companies,
yes,
and of course, Yahoo is such a global name.
Oh,
And
well,
you-
they were
and
all global. Really,
You decided Yahoo was the one to be your next avenue for your career.
Yes.
Essentially, like really starting out in that particular part of your life, also, right? In that
Quite
part
true.
of your career.
Yeah. But actually, you know, I was led by being lazy again. Because, you know, when someone said to me, well, if you go work for Amazon, you're going to work very hard. And, you know, if something goes wrong, you know, Jeff Bezos will actually come in and say, hey, what's happening? You know?
Really?
Yeah. So then...
And then Google also would have been another option, or
yes,
Microsoft.
yes. I think Google, I mean, I didn't actually get accepted, but I always felt that Google was filled with too many smart people. And you know, better to be in a small pond, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
relative. It's all big and small is relative. So Yahoo was the arena for you.
Yes, and it worked out really well, at least in the beginning. You know, the thing is, I think I went to work at 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m. I was done.
Really?
Yeah,
And
it was an amazing, you know, break from all this school and, you know, drudgery, and I totally enjoyed it. But
And what so what's can you, I mean, again, you know, all that most of us know is these are global names. These are,
Sure.
you know, how would I say, choice opportunities in life. But here you are again. I mean, putting aside your Malaysian, you are a talent. So you go into Yahoo and you have got a job which only entails you to work 10 to 3. Okay, and I'm sure that they paid you well. So, and you've got a great brand name in your CV.
yep.
So, what was life then for you at that age, and you know, moving ahead in your career?
I think just going back to the 10 to 2 or 3, right? Conceptually, work is not time.
Conceptually,
You know,
work is not
in
time.
Silicon Valley, work is not time. So work is work, meaning if you are given a task and you can do it in 1 minute, you're done, right? Yeah. So it was good in the beginning, but Yahoo went through 7 layoffs or something ridiculous, right? So every time there was a layoff, my work doubled. And so pretty soon I went from working, you know, 4 hours to 16 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun, and I learned a lot, right?
Okay, I'm going to bring this up. This is again what I've read of you.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah, in Yahoo, you rose to the position of a global chief architect at Yahoo Search,
Yes, yes, yes.
which, maaf lah, Doc, sounds very big to me, and I'm sure the audience. What does it actually mean when you are at that position in such a large global multinational?
What does it mean?
Can you describe what it's all about?
I think when you cross a certain threshold, you are no longer purely technical, and you are now having P&L. And that's when you make decisions differently. As a technical person, I want things to be elegant, efficient, and I want it to be new, meaning I'm doing something, I'm learning something while I'm doing it. But I think when you pass a certain threshold, you are thinking, where is the revenue coming from all the things that we're doing right now? And I think that is the main difference. I think my bosses at that time basically changed me from a pure techie into what I'd like to call a business aware techie. You know, so whereas previously I would say, oh, you know what, this thing is pretty old, let's fix it, let's make it better so that you know, it doesn't break. I think if you, after going at a certain level, I'm saying fixing this doesn't make money. Let's not until it breaks, and let's see if we can put our resources into something that will make an incremental impact to our revenue. So, you know, just to differentiate,
Right.
you know, I'm trying to answer your question.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
This is very relevant. Again, it's not. It's again, its scale is relative, but in an organization where the bottom line is ultimately, in any organization, the bottom line is the ultimate target. But even by way of scale, what I read of you is that, you know, your unit which you were leading at that time, it was generating $5 billion in annual revenue. You
Yes.
you also acted as an advisor to C-level executives. Apart from being on this Yahoo's Technology Council, it sounds like huge. Certainly by what we respectfully, you know, see within Malaysia and even the region. Um, how does that rank amongst your colleagues in that council? Does everyone like have that same level of P&L?
Well, within Yahoo, we have about 5 or 6 business units.
Okay.
Each business unit probably has maybe between 5 to 10 businesses. And unfortunately, Yahoo was the most lucrative among all of the business units. So at that time, when I came in, we were making about 800 million a quarter. And then that was also at the same time that Marissa was our CEO. And Marissa had a mission of making Yahoo better, but she needed funding to do that. So we were under the directive to increase our revenue, initially to 1.3 billion, and later to 1.5 and then to 1.6. So when I was in there, I think for the first few months, I was a technical person. And then I think my SVP came up to me and said, hey, you know, well, he corrected me. And then I started looking at revenue instead. So doubling your revenue is not very straightforward. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think what I took upon myself was to actually go with the business people and maybe visit our clients. For example, there was a telco that was giving us, let's say, 80 million or 50 million a year. And if a salesperson or a partnership guy went to this telco, mostly they'd say, hey, what kind of business can you give me? So, but if I went, I would say things like, what are your top 3 problems? And let's see if I have the technology that I can make something for you. Yeah. So in this particular instance, the telco was telling us, well, you know, we started in selling these videos, you know, but it's very difficult to push them, you know. So I said, okay, how about if I take those and put it on your website, you know, and then when people hover on it, it'll just play, you know. And I mean, you also have to remember, this is, what was it, 2011, 2012. You know, we're not in the era that we are in
today.
now, where what I just said
Looks so
happens
simple.
every day.
Right.
Right. So yeah.
So essentially, your role was to design those. What do you call them? Usually, like enhancing the search engine or
Sure, of course.
differentiating.
That also. Yeah, but my point is like, if you knew everything that you had in terms of inventory, but your salesman doesn't, then if you go with your salesman, instead of your salesman jual maybe a gula-gula or whatever, you can say, we also have tepung gandum, we also have, gula melaka, we also have this, So then that actually adds to the possible things that you could make revenue on, right? And so essentially, I think that was one of the first things that I did.
Interesting. And you obviously were in a seat where there were many people eyeing also that opportunity, right? I mean, with all due respect, you're up there, you are doing well, and obviously there will be others who would be vying. How do you, as that leader in such a large corporation, in reflection, Doc, how do you actually sustain yourself, with all due respect? What is it? What do you feel it would be a key ingredient that you can share?
I think first of all, I don't think you know that you're doing well.
Okay.
And you were saying
Yeah.
that I knew that I was doing well. I don't think I know. I mean, the thing is, you're in it, and it's like playing chess.
Okay.
When you are the player, you're just really zoned, and you only see your strategy.
Yes.
But people watching from outside, looking at it and say, "Oh, move the pawn, move the pawn," But it wasn't like that, right? So I'm there. What I do know is there's probably 20,000 people out there that wants my job.
I would imagine.
Yeah. So I worked very hard in terms of trying to accomplish what I thought would be right for that role, right?
And I would imagine the environment around you also is very supportive. You mentioned just now about whoever coming to you and saying, hey, maybe you need to do things differently.
Yeah. Well, it's like this, right? If you were the SVP and I am the architect, there's actually nothing that you can do to make your situation better if I don't do it. And I think it is in your interest to mentor me and to actually, understand what I'm going through so that you can support me. I don't know what the situation is in Malaysia. I haven't really worked at this level in Malaysia, but I hope it's like that. Because the thing is, if you were at the top of a pyramid, there's nothing you can do. There's really nothing you can do unless somebody below you does it. So
Yeah, and I like that part where you said mentoring and I guess even coaching, because I better be careful with my words here. I don't think that is much prominent in leadership styles here. I mean, maybe you may not from there, but it sounds to me, and again, for what I read of you, I feel that you achieved a lot, but you don't think that you achieved a lot. I may feel it wrongly.
I'm still hungry.
You're still hungry.
Yeah, I think I'll always be hungry.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going, but I know there's something better, and I'm always trying to reach it.
So, you spent a good how many years in Yahoo? Was what, like
Nearly 10 years.
10 years? Yeah. So when you're doing well in such an organization like that, from what I understand of Silicon Valley and people who are successful there, they either remain with that organization for a long time, beyond how many years, or even already able to retire post career, having had that type of that journey. What was it for you after 10 years? What were you looking for after being at Yahoo at the very top after 10 years?
I think for one thing, I'll never retire.
Okay.
I enjoy what I do. I create software even now. I code myself even now.
Wow.
And I like solving problems. When I listen to a problem, my head moves. My brain starts working. So I think your question was more about what do people do. So, for example, just to give you a bit of perspective, most of my bosses right now are VCs. meaning they actually made money, and now they are actually in a position to help startups, etc.
Right. Which is like quite a natural progression. You got venture
Correct.
capital, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think most of my technical leaders probably have their own startups and are founders. Right? But I don't see many that has actually retired. Even my boss, the SVP, he says he's retired, but actually he's still like thinking. He's working with this VC and trying to advance them. So I don't know if we ever retire.
Maybe it's the perception from outside looking in, right? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, yes, I know you are still busy now with the consulting practice. How or what triggered you to come home, or rather treat Malaysia as a base? I understand now it's one of your bases where you now offer consulting work and advisory work, even not just in the country but even in the region.
I think I was introduced to Cheryl, who started Magic. A long time ago, right? She was the founder, so it has to be 15 years or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I started offering my time, and I've looked at maybe 350 startups in Malaysia.
350 startups in Malaysia.
Yeah, at least 300. Yeah.
Wow.
And out of those, probably I only like 2.
Really?
Yes. So it's. I think one of the problems that I see in our startups is that they look at things from the Malaysian perspective.
Tell us more.
They want to solve a problem, and the problems that they see are the things that are around them. So I basically have 2 companies. One is the consulting arm, and one is the software. So the software that we do are more global targeted. So for example, we have Senio.com. It is a concert. I don't know what live telecast system, right? So I think the thing that I want to talk about is why it's hard first.
Okay.
Because I think people say, oh yeah, but we have YouTube, blah blah blah. But first of all, we do 4K better than CD sound streaming using normal internet at the source. So for example, there's this concert, XPDC concert that we did. We did it in Sejangkang in Kelang, using the available internet over there. Usually, if you wanted very high quality, let's say TV3 or something, they'll send a truck.
Yes.
With a dish on top. They'll rent a satellite, and they'll bounce it to their studio.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't. Right?
Oh.
So we rely on unusual compression. We have a machine that's like 60 kilos that we had to bring, and then we use maybe 200 computers in the cloud to make all this possible.
Right.
So I think my perspective is that in the world it's hard to do this, as opposed to in Malaysia it's hard to do this.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And there obviously is a need because of the, inadequacy of certain, as you know, you talk about bandwidth. Therefore, you're addressing it, being able to do things at a much lesser capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I want to add a little bit. During the time that I didn't go to school and I was here, I actually created a record company. We actually made music. Datuk Ramli is actually my partner, and also his partner in Senio, right?
I see.
So, sorry, just
Please.
another example
Yeah.
of another project that we are doing in Senio is that the top maybe 0.1% of all websites in the world
Yes.
are reactive. Meaning, if you go to TikTok, you go to Yahoo, so I'll give you an example in Yahoo because I know how it works, right?
Okay.
In Yahoo, if you click 5 things within, let's say, 20 seconds or 15 seconds, we know who you are. And we will give you content that will keep you in our site. Because the more you stay, the more money we make from the advertisements that we give you.
Okay.
You know? But the core system that allows that is not available in the market. So Sari Data has created this. You know, we call it website telemetry, which is different from analytics because, for example, if you use Google Analytics and it says, hey, you have 40 people on your website. Number one, they may not be there. You know, it's probably like half an hour ago. And number two, you have no details.
So those are that's the reactive thing.
The reactive thing would be if you know who is on there and you can react to it.
Yes.
Let me tell you a use case, right?
Okay.
So, for example, if you were trying to sell insurance.
All right.
And most insurance companies, especially life insurance companies, have, 10,000 agents.
Yes.
But usually there's no connection between the agent and the website. So using website telemetry, we can understand what the guy is doing while he's on your website. So for example, he's reading, and then how we read, we usually play with the mouse on something, and we will, this website telemetry will give you all of that. So if you have a model that can determine what he's doing, you can WhatsApp your 10,000 agents and say, hey, who wants to talk to this client? And then we'll give you a dossier of what the guy's done. And then let's say Mr. Ahmad says, hey, I'm available, So Mr. Ahmad, our software will pop up something, will connect you, and then it says, hi, I'm Mr. Ahmad, I'm an insurance specialist. I noticed you've been reading about life insurance, and especially you've been reading about the suicide clause. May I help you understand that more?
Wow.
Which is a totally different impact from someone that said, like, boom, can I help you?
Yeah.
So,
it's amazing. Eh?
So these are the two things that I'm giving as an example that contrast what I've seen people are doing here. And, I have to say, I think effort is excellent. I love people who are highly motivated and want to do something. But the product market fit sometimes leaves something wanting. Right?
But that's also a factor of exposure juga kan? I mean, how much do we not know that we don't know also kan? Which is where you, Alhamdulillah dengan rezeki you, Doc, you have actually been able to see things from a totally different perspective also kan?
Yeah, that could be. I agree. But I mean, it's like as a Muslim, you're supposed to find knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe a good suggestion would be to find the knowledge before you do the do.
Find the knowledge. What is there? I guess there'll be milestones. For example, you don't want to be analyzing until nothing then happens. So there's another side of the pressure.
No, true. So there's two kinds of methodology, right? What you said is analyzing until you're done. Then you know what you're going to do, and then you do it. So we call this waterfall approach.
Okay.
Right, and I think the waterfall approach has gone out of favor since maybe the late 90s.
Okay.
So now we recommend Agile.
Okay.
So Agile is basically, I think we need to do a better cup, and then you make a prototype and you let someone look at it. It's not perfect, but you test your idea, and then it. And then you iterate. I think that is important.
So, I guess you are seeing a lot of how to say differences, evolution. If we were to reflect on, for example, the technological advancement in our country here, going back to the semiconductor days, to our own cyber jaya. If you were to reflect on us, Malaysia, maybe from an outside looking in perspective, what do you think we could have maybe done differently lah? Again, it's so that we can learn from this moving forward in whatever we're trying to do. So it's a big question.
I think hindsight is 2020 is applicable here.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of times that people are well-meaning, and I think has a dream, but maybe the implementation or something that was a hiccup, right? So, for example, we were talking about Mahathir's Multimedia Super Corridor. I think if it had succeeded, and if we became the center of the world, it would be the ultimate, what do you call, payoff for Malaysia, right? Meaning it would increase the quality of life of everybody, et cetera, et cetera. And it did seem to me that he had the right people, meaning Microsoft was here, or, all the names was here, but maybe the world wasn't ready in terms of the actual technology. So, for example, in order to connect ourselves to the world, we mostly rely on underwater cable,
Okay.
right? And underwater cable is very expensive to lay, and maybe at that time we didn't have enough of it. Secondly, I think the capabilities that would have been needed to support something like that, maybe it was very nascent in Malaysia itself, and it was nascent everywhere else too, but we were more nascent, So I think it was a very difficult decision. Sometimes you say, "Hey, we're not ready," but the vision is right for now, And I believe I was reading Zafro was saying something like. I think I should have said YB, but
No, we know who you're talking about.
yeah, but he was saying that we cannot afford to wait 5 years until we actually have the people to support something.
Okay.
And he was talking about getting foreigners to actually work in high-tech jobs, and I think that is also true. I think at that time, if we knew that we were nascent, maybe we could have attracted more people or something like that, But I can also tell you that when you look top down, for example, hey, I need to make an extra 500 million this quarter or something, it's very difficult to be able to see all of the details all the way down.
Okay.
So you rely on multiple layers, right? And so, for example, I have one-to-ones with the people right under me, but I have very few 2-up and 3-up one-to-ones.
All right.
And maybe it goes that like Mahathir's layer probably goes like 20 down. So how do you actually make sure that what you want is supportable? I think it's a tough thing.
Yeah. And I guess it does also rely on structure and process in an organization to enable those sort of things to be successful, kan?
Yes. No, I mean, I'd love to comment on the process if you don't mind. There are some things that I wish that Malaysians would take from Silicon Valley.
Please tell us.
So, for example, we have this concept of management called OKR, Objectives and Key Results.
All right.
Now, at the very basic, is the act of everybody in the organization before or rather early in the quarter to say, this quarter, these are my objectives, and these are going to prove that I actually achieved it, or I achieve a little bit of it.
Yes.
So those are the key results that you will get at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
But holistically, though, it starts with the CEO. The CEO will do the first OKR.
Okay.
And he or she can say something like, for this quarter, I will prioritize A, B, and C, and I want these things done as my key results.
Okay.
Now, he probably also has a bigger plan, schedule for, like, say, a 5-year, 3-year, 1 year, 6 months, but the OKR is only talking about a very short term, 1 quarter. He gives it down to, I don't know, what's the next rung, maybe in the SVPs. The SVP then takes that, thinks about what his micro priorities are, and adds to that. Then he goes to the VP, and then it goes all the way down, and then after some time, it goes all the way up, because then if you are, let's say, a manager, you'll say, hey, give me your OKRs, and they say, oh, this doesn't match, change it, and then when it goes back to the CEO, the CEO now understands that the whole pyramid is aligned to what he wants to achieve this quarter.
Including some adjustments that may have been made?
Yeah, definitely. At every level, and then sometimes there are adjustments. It goes back down, comes back up.
But in a way, everyone is aligned.
Yes.
Everyone is clear also what is expected.
And what not to do.
And what not to do.
Yes.
And again, the shorter horizon of every quarter allows therefore to be, in a way, shorter focus rather than, say,
Correct.
do an annual plan which before you don't even know it, it's already out of sync.
Yes. Well, you have that annual plan, but you also know, and also it makes you adjust your yearly plans, because you say, oh, I guess we couldn't do this in 1 year, and maybe it's 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So imagine if, our country did this from the top. Then people who go to work, no matter what level you are, knows exactly what they're supposed to achieve this quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just feel that in Silicon Valley, most people actually go with these OKRs. I think it was started by Google, and definitely Yahoo used it. Many companies that I know use it. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. So again, I mean, these are learnings. So actually what you're talking about is not unfamiliar to
Of course
Malaysian
not.
corporations,
Yeah.
right? We call it OKRs or KRAs and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, there's a big debate whether or not we should have this, what we call these balanced scorecards and all that.
Yeah.
But I guess the essence is it provides you not just focus, but confidence that you're doing the right thing. And then this is inculcated in the whole organization. So everyone is doing it diligently the same way. It's a culture lah.
Yes.
Kan? And then it will boil down to how much time do you need. If not, if you can actually use your own time to achieve what you want to do, and the rest of the time is yours, right? That culture too.
Yes. And I guess on the other side of telling people what to do is showing them you appreciate them.
Yeah.
Which is also, I think, part of culture. Just to address what you said, right?
True. So now that you're back here, are you spending most of your time in Malaysia sahaja ke, or do you still maybe travel the region or even back to the States?
I'm going back and forth. I travel a lot between here and Indonesia. I speak Indonesian fluently. Yeah, and so to me it doesn't make a difference.
Okay.
And I'm also maintaining a residence in the US, so it's basically a triangle right now.
Good. What's your advice to up and coming professionals, irrespective of where they're coming, especially in this day and age where things happen so fast, information and knowledge is technically at your fingertips. How would you advise the next generation of professionals, even those who are starting out their career? What do you think may be different that they need to think about today?
I mean, I don't know if I'm qualified to advise, but I can certainly give my values.
Okay.
I think part of my values is money is not important. If you do well, if you strive for technical excellence, the money will come. And I always feel that you are important. You have, I'm gonna speak in a more Islamic terms, right?
Please.
So, God loaned you your nyawa and your life.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if I loaned you a pen,
Okay.
and all you did was keep it in a drawer.
Mm.
I'd feel like, why didn't you use it?
Mm.
So for me, I want to use my life in the best possible way to build on my knowledge and to serve. And serve means that I'm going to build software that can help people and et cetera, et cetera. So for example, in my consulting, right, the main difference that I have among all the big five is that I always try to give the fishing rod, not the fish.
Okay.
So that means that there's always knowledge transfer. I try to use the company that hired me's staff so that they actually know what to do, and I don't have to come back. Right, and I feel that is a service.
Right. Right.
So those are my values, basically. Try to always improve yourself. Try to not think about the money, and maybe be hungry. Always think about what is the next step. I feel that sometimes people who are younger than me, at a certain age, they say, "Oh, I'm done," and I'm going to go to the masjid or something. And obviously, it's your choice. But to me, I always go to the pen. What was the intention of loaning me the pen?
Loaning you the pen. Very valid.
Yeah, exactly. I'll stop there. Thank you.
No, thank you. No, and again, I mean, we're trying to, again, this is with benefit of reflection. We're trying to at least relate to today's younger generation, which have got their own set of problems,
Of course.
including money also. 'Cause let's be fair, somehow or other, money is important because of somehow in this country, the cost of living has gone up, but the income potential hasn't really been in tandem. But again, it is what it is. No? All right. Good. Your family is, you have a large family here, and you're also coming back to the country. It was also an opportunity to be closer to home.
In a way, yeah.
Your mother ada lagi?
So I actually have 5 mothers.
You have 5 mothers?
Yeah, my
Oh.
my ibu kandung
Ibu kandung.
is no longer with us.
Ah,
But I have 3 surviving mothers.
Masya Allah.
Yeah.
And then there's the extended family.
Yes,
Oh,
I have
that's
about
nice.
11 total siblings.
Nice.
But I'm the only child from my mother.
Your
Yeah.
mother. Oh, but again, it's nice that you're able to have that the extended family, and I'm sure
Oh yeah, yeah.
down to grandnieces and grandnephews too already.
Some, but I think I'm very close to like one sister. She's coming back from Hong Kong day after tomorrow. And just it's really good to be able to see them and
Yeah.
have dinner, conversations.
And your hometown in Batu Gajah, you still have family staying there?
Actually, most of the family moved to Ipoh.
Ah.
Yeah, but like two of the mothers are actually in Ipoh.
Okay.
And I usually go, but to be absolutely truthful, I go because of the food.
There's
like-
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because one of the mothers, she cooks really good curry pap sardine, and I'm like, oh, can't get that anywhere.
Curry pak sardine. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a nice thing to have. Okay. Well,
Nobody makes it quite like her.
Really,
Yeah.
Well, Doc, you should have brought some today so we can
Yeah,
validate
I'm
it.
waiting.
Well, actually, kebetulan Batu Gajah, I'm very familiar because my father's hometown is Parit, Perak. So we would always take that route from
Yes,
Simpang
yes.
Pulai, cut across Batu Gajah to head towards Parit. So I'm very familiar all these years lah daripada kecil dulu.
Yeah, I mean, I can still remember the scenes, but they were from,
Yeah lah.
probably the 70s.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Doc, I mean, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
I think the whole idea for inviting you was really to, number one, allow us Malaysians to know of such global talents like yourself, who have made, the global stage their arena and done successfully well, and and you know you're a very humble person, and it's nice that you have had the opportunity to still not just come back here and retire, but come back to Malaysia and continue to serve. And I do hope that from the audience that watches this series will now become more aware of you. And inshallah, if there's an opportunity, I really hope that people can tap onto your knowledge and experience to
Sure.
be able to to help them. And mudah-mudahan dengan rezeki tu, berkat tu, the pahala goes back to you for being able to contribute to this beloved nation of ours lah. And
Inshallah.
thank you so much for apa katanya being part of that journey lah in this country still, kan. And I wish you all the best, all the
Oh,
best of
thank you very much.
health and and happiness too. Yeah. Okay.
And
All
thank
right.
you for having me
Thank
again.
you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So, Alhamdulillah, this is a very nice episode to have, I must say, where I'm fascinated by meeting Dr. Ariffin, and I am sure that you are too. Who knows, there may be an opportunity in future to have another chat with Dr. Ariffin, maybe around a specific topic that, he can delve even more depth in detail. But till then, we wish you all a pleasant week ahead. And thank you once again. Don't forget to not just subscribe, but leave comments in the area on YouTube or wherever you're looking us up, so that we also can continue to try to improve. Till we meet you again, Assalamualaikum. Have a very good week ahead, and thank you for joining us.